Okay, so in this video, we're going to learn how to factor quadratics. And so here is the standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c. So a, b, and c are just numbers. So this is going to be a number. Today, a is only going to be 1. B is going to be a number, and then c is going to be a number. So today, we're only going to deal with quadratics that start off with a 1x squared, or just an x squared. So what we do is we're going to use our t-chart to get us started off. So the first step you do is multiply a times c. So here is my a number, which is just a 1. So I'm going to do multiply a times c. So you're going to do first times your last, okay? And in the t-chart, here is where your a times c is going to go, and your b term is going to go on the right side. So 1 times 15 is a 15, and that's going to go on the product side of my t-chart. And then my middle term, which was an 8, or my b term, is going to go on the right side. So again, this is your a, b, and c. Okay? So after you multiply a times c, you're going to do the t-chart. So I'm going to list all the factors of 15. So I know 1 times 15, and then 3 times 5. And I'm going to see which one of those will add to get me an 8. And I know, looking at this right here, that 3 plus 5 is going to give me 8, okay? So once you find your answers in the t-chart, all you're going to do is write 2 parentheses. You're going to have an x as the first term in each parenthesis. And then you're going to list these 2 numbers in the parentheses. So plus 3 can go on that one, and then plus 5 can go on that one. Your order does not matter, so you could have had plus 5 in this first parenthesis and plus 3 in the last parenthesis. Okay? So that is how you factor a quadratic when your a is a 1. Okay? So let's try this next one over here. So again, here is a 1 here, my a, b, and c. I'm going to multiply a times c. In my t-chart, that's going to go up here. So 1 times 6 is 6. And then my b term, which was a 5. Okay? So that's how you get the t-chart set up. So once you have your t-chart, you're going to find your multiples. So 1 times 6 is 6. And then 3 times 2 is 5. So now you need to see which ones they're going to add to get you a 5. So I know, looking at this, that 3 plus a 2 is a 5. So again, 3 and 2 are your factors. So we need to write them in the parentheses. You're going to have an x term on the first one of each. And then you're going to have a plus 3 in one and a plus 2 in the other. Again, you could have had plus 2 on the left one and then a plus 3 on the right one. Okay? And that's how you factor a quadratic. I'll say these are the easiest ones that you will have. And they will get harder, but we're going to get really good at these. So let's turn the next page. I'll do these 2 with you, and then we'll let you off on your own. Okay, so first thing is we're going to write our 1 there, a, b, and c. So first thing is a times c. So 1 times 20 is 20, and then your b term was a 12. So we're going to list all of our factors of 20, which is 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and then 4 times 5. Okay, so which one of those will add to get me a 12? Looks like right here, because 2 plus 10 is 12. So 2 and 10 are your factors, so we're going to write them in our parentheses. I'm going to go x plus 2 in this one, and x plus 10 in that one. Okay? All right, one more. Notice that all the ones we've done have all had plus signs, plus sign, plus sign, plus sign, plus sign. So that's why all of our answers have been positive. But notice here we have a negative. But still, I'm going to label my a, b, and c. I'm going to multiply a times c and put my b term there. So 1 times 24 is 24. And then negative 11 will go right there. Now I need to list all my factors of 24. But notice that when this is positive and this is negative, remember the only way to get multiplying it a positive but adding it a negative is when your signs are negative, negative. So I will have two negative factors on this one. But I'm going to start off with 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and then 6 times 4. So those are all my factors of 24. So now I need to make both of them negative and get an 11. I know that's not near 11, but these two are near 11. So negative 2 plus negative 12 is negative 14. So that did not work. Let's try these. Negative 3 plus negative 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. What would give me negative 11? So when I make both of those numbers negative, that will multiply to get me a 24, but add to get me a negative 11. So now I'm going to write my two parentheses with my x terms in the front, and then I just need to rewrite those terms in them. And this time they're both negative. Okay? All right, so now we are going to try a couple more. So this one says x squared plus 56x minus 15. So again, put your 1 here, a, b, and c, multiply this times this. So 1 times negative 15 is negative 15, and then I have 56. So let me list the factors of 15. So 1 times 15, and then 3 times 5. Okay, so what I notice is that any of these numbers added together is not going to get me anywhere near 56, because 1 plus 15 is a 16, and then 3 plus 5 is 8. So none of those are anywhere near a 56. So when this happens, you're going to say can not be factored. So we cannot factor this problem. Okay? All right, one more together. So again, here is my A, B, and C. We are going to multiply A times C and get negative 27, and then put our 6 right here. So now I'm going to list the factors of 27, which is 1 times 27 and 3 times 9. Yeah, 3 times 9, and that's it. Okay, so now I notice that this number is negative, so I need to make one of them negative, because I'm going to have a negative and a positive. So I need to get a positive 6, so let me try putting a negative 3 there. So negative 3 plus 9 is going to give me a 6, so that worked out. So negative 3 and a positive 9 are our answers. So again, going to write your parentheses. In this case, we have m's, so I'm going to have m on the first term of each of those, and then write my factors in the parentheses. So m minus 3 and m plus 9. Again, you could have m plus 9 first, doesn't really matter. Okay, so now why don't you try the last 4 on your own, and then I'll go over the answers with you. These two, I did a times c again, and so I did 1 times negative 8 and got negative 8. I wrote down all the factors of 8, which was 1 times 8 and 4 times 2. I noticed that this was a negative and this was a negative, and so remember when you multiply to get a negative, you've got to have one positive and one negative. So I kind of played around with my positive and negatives, and I found that a 1 minus an 8 would give me a negative 7, so my 8 should have been negative. So I wrote x plus 1 and x minus 8. Okay, and this second one was a little bit long because 48 has a lot of factors. So I got negative 48 and then negative 2. So all I did in the calculator was I did 48 divided by 2, 48 divided by 3, 48 divided by 4 to get these factors over here until I found something close to a 2. Again, if this left side is negative, I'm going to have a negative and a positive factor. So you kind of had to play around with your signs. And so when I got down here, I saw that these were close to a 2 if I subtracted them, and I would need to make that 8 negative to keep that negative sign. So 6 minus 8 is negative 2, so I wrote z plus 6 and z minus 8. On the last ones, again, do a times c, and so you get 56, and then you're trying to get a negative 15. So again, I didn't know the factors of 56, so I divided it. So I divided it by 2 and got 28. I divided it by 3 and got a decimal. So then I moved on to 4, and I did 56 divided by 4 to get 14. And then I kept going until I got 7, and I got 7 and 8. So then, if this left side is positive, and the right side is negative, the only way you can multiply and get a positive but add to get a negative is when they're both negative. So I had to make 2 of them negative, so I had to get negative 7 and negative 8, because 7 plus 8 is 15. So I wrote n minus 7 and n minus 8. On the last one, I did a times c and got 12, brought down negative 8. I listed my factors of 12, and then I noticed that, again, if this left side is positive and this right side is negative, I'm going to have 2 negative factors. So I made negative 2 and negative 6 negative, because they will add to get me a negative 8. So then I wrote q minus 2 and q minus 6. Again, you can have them in any order you would like. Just make sure they were all negatives. Okay, so now you can work on your IXL or your practice papers. So that's how you factor a quadratic when a is 1. And this only works when your first number is a 1. Okay, thanks for watching.